Lost my Bapa, Herman Wayne Hunt, 47 years ago today. Born 1912, February 12, in Coal Hill, Arkansas. He was a great man. Tough day for my father, for sure. Here's something he wrote about him. Dad is an excellent writer for sure. Need to get him to write more. May 1, 1978 is when we lost your Bapa. It was a Monday morning. We were getting ready to move to this house and had lots of things to do. And I remember the night before praying, Lord, I have no problems. Everything is just right. It is all going to be great now. Our house payment was doubling, but we thought we would be okay, especially since I had started moonlighting at OU teaching. Monday morning, we had a big meeting at work, Rockwell International, about IT's role in the upcoming physical inventory. That morning, my dad went downtown Claremore and paid all of their bills in person. He just liked to visit with everyone rather than mailing them in. He then sat down and wrote a letter to us, telling us what a great summer we were all going to have together. He had bought a little white VW Beetle a week earlier and was having a ball learning about it. He had already rewired the engine and was having a blast. He got home from paying the bills and asked my mom to go for a walk with him. They got about 3/4 of a mile and he said, oh, I am in trouble. And he went down right there. The ambulance had to wait 15 minutes on the train to pass as they were trying to get him to the hospital. They went right past the New Indian Hospital, but could not take him there since he was not an Indian, so he stayed in the ambulance as the train slowly went past. A man brought a blanket to Mom to cover him up with, and weeks later, Mom went house to house to try to find who it was, but she never found out. He just showed up from nowhere and disappeared. Daddy hit the pavement hard when he fell, and there was blood everywhere from his head. I took a bucket of water and a brush there later that day and washed it all away. I didn't want it to stay there. The family doctor explained to me that he had had an aneurysm of the large artery going into his heart, and his high blood pressure made it worse, and that is why it burst. He was a very, very healthy and strong man and was never ill. A few days before this, though, and we could look this up, Mom told me he had stayed in bed most of the day and laughed a lot when Pete Rose hit 3 home runs. That was just a few days earlier, and I am sure this was leading up to his heart problem. He liked to sunbathe and had hobbies, for sure. Model trains, telescope, metal detector, and stories about the Civil War. He loved to throw a silly knuckle ball to me when we played catch. What a guy. Also, stories about Dizzy Dean and warming up Charles Lindbergh's airplane when he was in the Army Air Corps in New York's Mitchell Field. He told me he had never been so homesick. He was the oldest of 10 children and quit school after the 8th grade to work and help take care of the family. There was no money for most people back then, since he was born in 1912, and the Great Depression started in 1929. That is what a man he was. He was smarter than me by a mile, but was very humble, and never wanted anything for himself, just stuff for Mom and me. Terry had called me at work at about 11:25 a.m. crying, and she told me that a pipe had burst in the house and I needed to come right home. Of course, this was just to get me home. I came in the door and she was sitting there and told me that he had died of a heart attack. I walked outside and looked at the clouds, and I still remember what they looked like. I have seen them look that way again, but not very often. I was coming home from Rockwell and 50th, and I remember thinking that it didn't matter if the house was flooded as long as I had you all and my mom and dad. It was just great. I will never forget, at the Northwest Highway in Rockwell, I stopped, and to my left was a minivan with Dallas Cowboys stuff all over it and a helmet hanging from the rearview mirror, probably somebody on their team.